Awesome. So welcome back. We're now in a new lesson, and what this lesson for our online course deals with is what we call service agreements. At Conscious Counsel at our law firm, it's called a service agreement. It can also be a coaching agreement. It can also be a membership agreement. There's so many different nuances of what a service agreement can be, but really the service agreement is so important because this is the agreement that you're going to have with your clients. So it's a particular agreement that dictates the relationship that you and your clients have. And again, at Conscious Counsel and in making this online legal course, the whole point is to instruct you on practical law and the actual things that you're going to need when you close your computer and start working with clients or keep building your community with clients. There's certain legal documents that you're going to need. And as I've said a couple of times in this course already, the law is always about relationship and the management of relationship and communicating your expectations openly and honestly within a relationship. And what the service agreement falls under is the relationship that you have with your clients. So the overarching principle, well, there's two principles. And the first is that there are legal implications to this relationship, which we're going to get to. And I'll talk about some of the biggest issues that we see all of our health and wellness and fitness clients come up against. And then there's another issue, which is really about the communication of the expectations in the relationship. And this is like everything I'm telling you comes directly from my heart. And it also comes from me having done this for years and years and years and working with people all over the world who all have the same problems that we either help them proactively deal with or reactively we help them resolve. And I want you to be part of the proactive camp. But the way that it works is this service agreement is someone signing up to work with you, and you have an opportunity to create the ideal relationship with your clients. And I cannot stress the value and the benefit of being able to do that. When clients will say to me like, oh, yeah, I just borrowed someone else's documents, or I'm just going to download something and use it. I'm like, okay, cool. You can do that if you want. I don't really care what you do in your business, but the opportunity that you're missing out on is avoiding the stress and having the peace of mind of knowing that anyone you work with, you have told them up front and before you started working together exactly what they can expect in working with you. And I found that myself in my own law firm. For anyone who's watching this who's maybe already worked with us, we have everybody sign a client welcome agreement, and it outlines all of the different terms of how we work together and what's going to happen, and what the extent of and scope of our services are, and what we'll do and what we won't do. And all of those things. And it's been so helpful because in the event that there is an issue with a client, it's so easy to resolve it. It's so easy to send a screenshot of a particular document like the client welcome agreement and be like, hey, when you signed on, this is what we agreed to. Now you're asking for something different. So it's either going to cost more, or you have to understand that what you're asking for is a change of the agreement that we had. And then you can choose if you want to resolve it or not. But the most important thing is having that foundation where you know that you are in a relationship based on your terms and what it is that you want. So the benefits where this comes in is that it allows you to streamline your services in a lot of ways. You don't have to think about, you're not consumed constantly about each individual client and how things may be different or how you're making an exception for someone. It's just that all of the services, there's one way that we offer our services, even though there may be modifications. Here's the one relationship that we have. This is what we say about cancellations. This is what we say about refunds. This is what we say about behavior, in training sessions, in studio, wherever and however it is. And before you accept anyone's money and before you allow someone to work with you, you make sure that they agree to those particular terms. So I really can't stress the importance of this enough and how important it is to create the relationship that you want. Usually what we see a lot of our clients wanting and needing is that they'll reflect on issues they've had in the past or problems that they constantly encountered with some of their clients, and they'll say, oh, I remember, Mrs. X, I had a really big problem with her always doing this. I want something put in my contracts to say that no one can do this, or that everyone has to do this. And that's the natural evolution of your business and the way that you offer your services. But it's so empowering when you have that included in a legal agreement. So that's all like the fluffy, feel-good, peace of mind stuff about a service agreement and all of the reasons why it makes sense. It makes sense because you want to be super clear with people. You want to be able to stop working with them for legal grounds if you want to, if you're not comfortable, if they're not fun to work with, if there's something difficult that they're doing, or you just realize you're showing up to sessions not excited because they're there. If you can pinpoint particular behavior that they're doing which is not part of the expectations you agreed, legally you can terminate the relationship. And that's so different from not being able to do that. That's the whole point of what we want to make at Conscious Counsel for you, is we want you to be empowered by your documents and have the ability to end relationships if you want, and also start all the relationships on your terms if you want. So when it comes down to it, the service agreement is very important for having ideal relationships, and not only creating the ideal relationship and communicating your expectations beforehand and letting people know exactly what sort of relationship they're getting into, but further than that, it gives you the legal power to enforce that relationship if you have to. Also, think about this. Let's say someone you're working with, you're having a problem with them, and they're doing something outside of the agreement that you sign. It's so easy when you're able to go to them and just say, hey, this is the document we agreed to before we started working together. You're behaving outside of this agreement or doing something we did not agree upon. How can we resolve it? And it's so impersonal and it's so objective when you do that, that's such a benefit we see for our clients, and that in and of itself is reason enough to get a service agreement.